The winter initiation season has been a deadly one in the Eastern Cape. About 20 initiates did not make it home in the province. In the face of justified criticism, those at the forefront of this practice believe it should be retained. Ronald Masinda has been looking for answers, and he joins us now from East London to tell us what he's found. Now, Ronald, every year we hear statements, especially from the authorities, talking about the various things that they're doing to try and keep more of our initiates safe. But it just doesn't seem to be preventing these deaths.
Yes, indeed, Marcel. Good morning to you. We are coming live from Mdantsane, and I can tell you that the winter season is drawing to a close with many makeshift huts that have been homes to many initiates up in flames, and this is a sign that the rite of passage has drawn to a close, and what awaits them is a huge celebration, because you can remember that females are not allowed to see their young ones as they go through this rite of passage. So they will be seeing their mothers, some of them spending a month and well over a month at these initiation schools. But as you rightly mentioned, some of the initiates don't make it out alive. In fact, the Eastern Cape Coctus telling us that at least 20 deaths have been recorded. This is almost double to the same period as last year. Now, for more on what has been taking place, I am joined by Andile Siko. He is a traditional surgeon with 24 years experience. Hard to imagine, Andile, that you've been around so long in terms of the work that you've done. But what have been some of the challenges, firstly? And also talk to us about the recent deaths here in Mdantsane, where 3 initiates died.
It is very painful. One, let me greet you and the listeners at home. It is very painful to, one, with my experience and 24 years of doing the same thing, but yet there is deaths reported, like 20 currently in the Eastern Cape, for where I am in the Buffalo City. It's very painful, and yet we don't have a solution for this. It's like we are failing the parents out there. It's very painful because, in my understanding, we are supposed to have a solution. There's a lot of stakeholders involved in the whole thing right now, and yet no one is coming up with a good solution as to solving what the problem of these deaths so far. Now, I'm thinking something needs to be done, and I think right now, in preparation for the next season, because in this June, for instance, not so many boys went to the mountains, and then yet so many deaths, which means we need to do something, because the December season, that means a lot of boys will be going to the mountains, and then something needs to be done.
To my understanding, the recent deaths in Mdantsane were of 3 initiates. They died in a fire. Yes. What are some of the common causes of deaths?
That day was very windy. There is a need, for instance, that there be fire in those huts, for instance, and then I believe maybe it's the wind that blew the fire into the hut, and then it started the fire, unfortunately. And I will call negligence. From one, we don't have experienced traditional surgeons, nurses, as far as I'm concerned, and unfortunately drugs are taking over as we speak, because I believe 60% of our traditional nurses currently, they are smoking this tooth thing, I'm not sure what it's called in English, and this case getting out of hand, and they don't care of taking care of the boys in the mountains. They want to just roam around, leaving the boys behind.
Okay. I am slipping a bit, so I am going to adjust my makeshift chair, so please bear with me. Okay, that's much better. Now, Andile, Cocta has also raised concerns about illegal initiation schools. How common are these illegal initiation schools in these areas?
I never understood the concept of illegal initiation schools, because mostly here we don't have much so far. And yet, for instance, the boys that died, most of them were, only one was circumcised illegally. 3 of them were circumcised legally, like everything was there in order. Now, we cannot blame this thing on illegal circumcision, because currently in Mdantsane, for instance, there is about 64 places where these boys go for circumcision, which is wrong. We've been asking the House of Traditional Leaders and other stakeholders that let there be only 3, for instance, in Mdantsane. That can be manageable, because it is very hard, in fact, currently to manage all these places, all these 60-something places in Mdantsane. Now, something needs to be done. There ought to be trainings. These places ought to be limited, so that every place can be easily accessed by the health workers that need to go and see the boys in the mountains.
So you're telling me that there's no such in terms of initiation schools that are illegal. Why does COCTA raise this as a huge concern?
I think we need to have a debate about schools, initiation schools. What are those exactly, you see? Because as I said, here we have got places, I don't want to call them schools, these places, things are not schools. People just get any push they can get and they just put those bombers there, which is wrong. We need to have initiation schools so that we can speak about illegal initiation schools then. For now, we can say illegal huts. That's what we can say, or illegal bombers. That's what we can put, not initiation schools.
Why should I trust you with my child?
You can trust me with your child because I will take care of your child from the word go. From the minute you said the boy is going to the mountains. 3 months before that, I always say, bring your boy to me so that we can check some things that they are in proper manner, so that if there's things that need to be attended to medically or otherwise, they be attended to firstly before the boy goes to the mountains. And then when they are there in the mountains, I always make sure that when I get you a better kangata, yes, we don't have perfect ones because we've been asking for trainings. I remember even last year, we had started an interview and we spoke about trainings, workshops for the kangatas or the traditional nurses. And we don't get those, and we have not got all those even today. We need those. We try our best, but we don't have the resources. Now we need anybody who can help us out there. Anybody who can help us. It doesn't matter now that it's the House of Traditional Leaders or it's the Department of Health. That's anybody that can help us. We need the trainings for these young men that have become the traditional nurses, so that we can bring these young boys back home safely.
Talk to us about the issue of peer pressure. Now, I know this plays a big role in communities where one young person has gone through this rite of passage, now become a man, but now the pressure is on the others who have not gone through this rite of passage. And traditional surgeons have in the past also been criticized when young people, bayaziba, going there without the parents' consent.
Yeah, that is there. But even that one, like currently, because you know the act has been changed, there is a new act that is being used now, failing us automatically, because we were saying at least 17 or 18, the boys 16 should not be going to the mountains, they are still young. At least 17 is doing matric, for instance, then that person can go to the mountains, it's okay. But the new act came without consulting any of us traditional surgeons and nurses, and then the new act is there saying that 16-year-olds should go. So there's not much of a pressure now, because young boys, they know automatically that we can go at the age of 16, which is fine. If we are still asking them, we are hoping, for instance, as traditionalists and as surgeons, that we can meet with other stakeholders, especially the Department of Education, because there's a problem of these young boys. After they've come from the mountains, they don't want school anymore. And now that means we're going to have a lot of illiterate men out there, which is totally wrong. So we need to communicate to all the stakeholders, have a reason why the boys cannot go to the mountain at a certain age. At least they should finish matric, for instance, all those things, because it's becoming a huge problem. And these boys are very young to even understand the reason why they go there. They think just about cutting the foreskin, of which this is not.
My last question to you, COCTA saying that 20 initiates have died. This time last year it was 11. So this is cause for concern. What could be done better?
Limit the places, just limit the places of where the circumcision school, if I'm used. In fact, let's make sure that every place has got a circumcision school, where a traditional surgeon like me is the principal of that school. Because only in the Transkei that you get those places that are called traditional circumcision schools. But here we don't have that. In the former Transkei, here we don't have that. We need that. Me being the traditional surgeon, being the principal of that school. And there be a nurse that is always available 24 hours there, so that if the boys feel something wrong, then they can consult with the nurse. That we need very much.
Andile, thank you so much indeed for your time. So, Marcel, definitely cause for concern for COCTA in dealing with this issue of initiates dying, 20 in total. We are expecting to hear from COCTA. They postponed their press conference today. They were supposed to give a full report as to how the initiation season has gone. But for now, we are ready to have a feast. Marcel, it's back to you.
Indeed, indeed. Very powerful questions there from Ronald as well. Why should I trust you with my child, as he continues to bring us some very important conversations about this. Let's continue to stay with Ronald as we see just what they're in for today.
Yeah, okay.
Ronald, we're still with you. Our cameras have zoomed in on the pot there. Our teams obviously are quite hungry after our early morning shift. Give us a sense of what's on the menu there.
Look at that. Andile, you know this meal better than I do. What do we have there on the plate?
Right now, we are having what we call umnambulo. Yes, we are preparing for the boys to go home. Most boys are going home now, so we're just celebrating. We're just having umnambulo there, so that we can just enjoy the meals before we start our drinks. Because automatically there's celebrations that go with drinkings and everything. Yeah.
Mkambulo, just for our viewers, what is it? Is it sheep?
No, it's a cow head. It's a beef head. Yeah, we have a beef head. You skin it, and it's the meat inside, behind the skin of a head. It's not too much of a meat, yeah, but yeah, it's enjoyable. Very nice.
Is it? Oh, I can't wait to dig in there. Yeah, it looks delicious. And of course, the drinks that you mentioned, there's alcohol, but also mkomboti, which forms a very important part for traditional ceremonies.
Yes, mkomboti is a must. There is mkomboti, there is a ranyo, we'll call it ranyo, which is brandy, mkomboti, everything for the festivities.
Okay, I'm going to ask just for a taste, because, hey, it looks delicious. Sondela tata sive. Okay. Oh. Okay. Oh, it's very hot myself, so I have to blow it a bit.
This is the most nicest part. Yeah.
It's really good. Very hot though, but very good myself, I must say. What an experience. And it's quite popular here as well in Tanzania. Okay. So all the other guys, they are also ready to dig in. As you can see in the background, they've been waiting, myself. They were worried as to how long this interview will take, so they are finally digging in. And I can say that it is really delicious.
And good meat with just the right amount of fat, made on a very, very crisp winter's morning. It's the perfect combination. Ronald Masinda bringing us the very latest there as he covers the very latest in the initiation season. And this, of course, part of the festivities at the end of that important process that the young men are going through in the Eastern Cape.